One of the struggles with Christianity and Catholicism today is that we just finished a generation of cultural Catholicism, right? Where something in the dominant culture encouraged us to take on some of the trappings of Christianity and Catholicism. A lot of people were baptized because their grandparents thought it was a good idea. And we didn't get much deeper into the practice of the faith this last generation. Now, for good or for bad, maybe for good, we lost the culture wars and we find ourselves in a post-Christian, post-Catholic culture, right? And so at this point, I believe it's easier to take today's gospel lesson to heart. It was hard when it was easy to get baptized. In fact, it was getting out of the way of a flowing river, right? So that we didn't get overwhelmed by the constant demands of the people we loved. Like then, baptism was simple. Now, baptism's a choice, and one hopefully that people think about, because Christianity is in fact demanding, and to start it lightly on just a cultural note historically has never been a blessing. There's a very interesting push in Catholicism for a smaller, more faithful Catholicism. You'll never hear me espousing that. And I just want to make sure what I'm saying isn't misunderstood. We're not looking to limit Catholicism to those who are faithful. We're looking to invite those who wish to be Catholic to think about the full challenge of Catholicism. Now, it would be easy to misunderstand what that challenge is. We could think that it was about the Ten Commandments. We could think that it was about sexual ethics. We could think that it was about any number of things that it only tangentially touches. What it's about at its heart, we find in Paul's letter to Philemon, the second reading today. The challenge, the deepest challenge of Christianity, that we risk of ourselves out of love for another, and in ways that our culture would not understand. Our culture would not understand Onesimus, an escaped slave, returning to the man who claimed to be his owner in order to request, with Paul's support, that he be set free, because Onesimus, the former slave, valued the man who called himself his owner. He valued his love and his salvation higher than he valued his own freedom. That's a huge demand. Can you imagine? I don't have any good stories that compare with what Onesimus does. He goes and he hand carries a letter from Paul asking Philemon to be a decent follower of Jesus, asking Philemon to recognize a brother, asking Philemon to grow in love, and to not think that he was able to own Onesimus, but rather that he should embrace him as a brother, that he should embrace him as a messenger from Paul. We don't know how the story turned out. I think we would all hope that Philemon responded to this invitation to love. But in our lives, it won't always happen that way, right? In our lives, when we risk our own heart, when we risk our own freedom, when we risk our own safety, it's hard to say, right? When we risk for love of another, in order to invite another not to do what is right, but to live in love and freedom on a correct path, it won't always work out. And sometimes we'll be re-enslaved. And it's a big risk. It's a huge risk. The challenge of Christianity, to live our lives in love, to let the people around us love because we give them space. Like, we all know how to coerce people. Husbands and wives get really good at coercion because, like, life is better if the people do what we want them to do. But we know better. We know, as followers of Jesus Christ, that life is better with love. And for us to give the people around us enough space, enough freedom, maybe to hurt us, maybe to not do what we needed them to do, what we hoped they would do, maybe to love. For us to place our own comfort, our own desire, our own freedom at the service of love, so that those around us, that guy who used to think he owned me, right? So that those around us might have the opportunity to love. There's some prudence required here. This is not the correct path in every situation. There are times when you call the police, you don't offer the option of love, right? I don't take anything as absolute. But as followers of Jesus, our biggest challenge is to place ourselves, our freedom, our joys, our wants, at the service of love, to allow the people around us not just to do what we want them to allow the people around us to live lives of love, to become like Jesus, inviting, welcoming, loving, and then receiving back whatever love was offered. Sometimes the smashing of an alabaster jar and perfume and tears on his feet. And sometimes the scourges and nails of the crucifixion. We shouldn't too easily start out on the journey of Christianity. We're invited by Jesus to think seriously about how intent we are on following him, because it is a difficult, because it is a challenging journey.